Alright, today we're going to go explore Harold Warp's Pioneer Village. It supposedly has time from our pioneers all the way up to today, all the changes. 26 buildings of things to see and do. Let's go have some fun. Wright Brothers playing. It's a pretty cool locomotive. Love the train that's wrapped around the building. It runs anymore. No 6 Ford. You'd be a racer. Model K. Let's go about all the full-size aircraft they have hanging from the ceiling. You have a twin over here. Cub back in here. Pretty cool so far. All the horseless carriages, the old Oldsmobiles. Looks like an old Ford dealership on this side. There you go. Sears. What didn't they make back in the day? Cars, houses, tools. You can get anything from Sears. And the first SUVs, I guess, or minivans. Probably more of a minivan. You could sit inside, you could sit on the roof. That's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna screw myself in here today. I can smell the must and the... Hope it doesn't affect me. The old wagons up top. Tricycles. Lamps galore. Old single seat helicopter up there. She was registered. Here's my stuff. Old telephone stuff. Oh, my daughter was in 5th or 6th grade. We did a science project before. We did it all on the old telephones and telephone communications, from back when it was the old magnetophones, the switchboards, up through the stepper equipment, the XY equipment, to digital. She would have gotten a solid A+ on it, but I forgot one thing. They asked her what magneto meant, and she didn't know. I never even thought to tell her that the magnetophone was with the old crank phones with the magnet in it. You'd crank up to create energy. I never even gave that a thought to mention that to her, and it was about the only question they asked her. And for that, I think she got a B. It's just beautiful. A lot of money in cars. And a lot of them look original. It's a Maxwell. That's what predated Chrysler. Chrysler took over Maxwell. I just think they had so much style compared to today's. There you go. Final ride. That'd really be the way to go, wouldn't it? A hearse with horses. What a better way to go. Take your final ride in a glassed-in hearse. Switch your predated Amazon. Instead of ordering online and having it mailed to you, these guys would show up with their wagons and sell it off the wagon to you. Your oil delivery, or maybe water, one or the other. Street sprinkler, it was water. That's how they wet the roads back when they're all dirt. Standard Oil. Ice companies. That one looks more like circus train. Home abroad. gypsy wagon. More telephony. I love all the old telephones. Used to have quite a few. Used to have that system sitting out in my garage for years. A lot of the old phones. He's got some of the old cordless phones, candlesticks, all the old cranks. There we go. And it's our color. '34 Harley model VLD. Take her home. She's the right color. She matches the truck, matches the bike. It's not from more airplanes hanging from the ceiling. This is quite the place. What was that? It's a motor chair. We kind of knew that, but wheelchairs throughout the ages. Outboards of all kinds. It's got helicopters. Look at these things. Is that the one that we always see in the video, but bouncing up and down, then it falls apart, blows apart? You think this one actually flew? Rotary wing aircraft from 1923. She successfully flew. The first successful flight in a rotary wing aircraft was made in 1923 by Juan de la Severa, a Spanish mathematician. United States right to the rotary ring. Autogyro were granted to Pitcairn in 1930. He built approximately 100 autogyros during the 30s. It was a predecessor to the helicopter, in which a propeller was eliminated by Foote in 1937. First flown by Hannah Reich, a German woman pilot. Rotary wing aircraft proved laterally unstable with no propeller. In 1939, Igor Sikorsky added a small, controllable pitch propeller to the side of the tail, thus giving the aircraft lateral stability independent of the longitudinal vertical thrust of the motor. Which is true. Of course, Sikorsky added the tail rudder, the tail motor, and revolutionized helicopters. Cool. Also is one of the boat cars. Rides the land. You can pull up. They're rare. It's Amphibious. You come around the backside, and then if it's there, yep. Look underneath. Get your dual propellers. We go right from the road into the water. Wouldn't want to take it in rough seas, but it was a pretty cool idea. Just kills me all the aircraft they have hanging from the sailings in here. Boats and sailboats. Valhalla. This is, I don't think I can get a full picture of it. This is some of my grandfather's yachts when we were a kid. 30 feet. Beautiful yacht. Oh, here, one of my other passions. Fire department. Was a member for years. Full time on his active duty. All the old hand pumpers. Alright, so this steam pumper is quite different. It's an 1880 steam pumper that in 1909 was converted to an engine to replace the horses with the engine on the front, put a steering column in the front, on the front of her, and off they went. You can see where they extended the whole thing out versus what used to be just the pumper on the back. Pretty inventive. You can never forget the American to France. Forget what year it was. 10? 16. 1916 American to France pumper. Just have a few buildings here to cover. They said there was 26 buildings on the property. Original Elm Creek Indian Stockade. Stockade and all. Love the old locomotive station. The People's Store. So this was the original government land office that was here in, it said on the north bank of the Republican River in Franklin County, Nebraska, from 1874 to 1952. Then it was moved here to this museum, rock by rock. They numbered them all and took it down and rebuilt it. It's also the museum curators, the original star of the museum. His parents got their land property from here, or filed for their property, I guess would be the right word, right? For their homesteading act. So that's pretty cool to keep your history like that. Old firehouse, a couple of fire engines inside. Here you go, Billy Bryant, that one's for you. Front end pumper, your favorite. Old schoolhouse, backside of the train depot, water tower and all. Old one-room schoolhouse. Bert, isn't this like the one you went to school in back in the day?
You know, close to it.
Back in the late 1800s, weren't you in a class like this? When you were a youngin'? Oh, bird flew by.
It was close. We had desks like this. Similar.
Yeah?
They were wood. We had to put our pencils and stuff here.
Poor kid in the front row didn't have a desk to work on, though. He was just SOL.
Oh, I know.
And the kids in the back row had no chairs. This was a rough school.
Grades 6-year-old, 7, 10, 14, 15-year-old, all in one room.
Oh, yeah. Yep. If you're lucky, you got to the 5th grade.
Yeah, because they had to do farming.
Right?
The men, boys had to read.
Work to do.
Yeah.
Couldn't be in school learning how to read and write and doing that their arithmetic. This one's pretty cool. This is an old sod house, which means she's made of mud and straw. All we had in this place, like in New England, every house is built with a chimney, fireplace. Here I notice everything is wood stoves. I'll even scope out the pipe for the wood stove. The old stove's here. Pipe goes up and goes all the way across and out the back of the house. Interesting. Versus going straight up or straight out this side here. Maybe they picked a flat spot to get through. This one's different. Rear china and glass. Mother's prized possessions. Some carried west in covered wagons. Let's go see what they've got. Imagine a china cabinet like that coming across in a covered wagon. Or even this one with the rounded glass. You want even the plates, the old china, everything. How would any of this made it cross country in a covered wagon? All this stuff over here evidently didn't, from the 50s. I assume a lot of this stuff here does. Old church from 1884. There you go. Rides 5 cents. Little kids and grown kids on America's oldest merry-go-round. 1879 model Armitage Herschel. It says, good news, we have begun the restoration of our carousel. Bad news, sorry you won't see the results for quite a time. She needs a lot of work. Wow. A lot of work. It's backside of the sod house. Stove chimney does come out of the roof, so I don't know why they just didn't do it right above the stove. Unless maybe they used it like a heat duct. Something to look into. So is the barn from the old farmhouse the Warp family had. Stockades. If Bert doesn't stop misbehaving, I'm going to put her right in these, the stockades. Surprised that's out here. It's more from colonial days. It wasn't so much, I didn't think, in the Midwest. Maybe it was. Can't tell we're in farm country, can you? The old Farmer's Almanac. Some of this old equipment probably works better than today's equipment does. Sure held up a lot longer. This must be a barbed wire collection. Yep, Joseph Glidden, an Illinois farmer, patented barbed wire in 1873. Stated on his application that double twisted strands not only would keep the barbs in place, but would also keep the fence taut. That's amazing, though. The Glidden's first machinery included an old coffee grinder to fashion the barbs. The barb was applied to one piece of the wire, then the second wire was twisted over it to hold it in place. Pretty interesting. I think I just got rid of some of these old drills up here that I had that were my dad's and stuff, the old Craftsman's skills. Old bats for making soap, and I'll get that one there. Butchering Granville for removal of internal organs. Sounds scary. I'm sure it was internal organs of animals. Then everybody's gonna love this one. Look at this puppy. Now that is what I call a still. Think of the alcohol you could make with that puppy. Mechanical potato diggers. Must have these up in northern Maine too. Some old drills. Got a couple of those too, the old twist ones. Funny what you have when you sell your house and you start finding all the things that you owned, had for years, that all kind of go away. Even though they're antiques, they weren't worth anything. Here we go. Holiday Standard U.S. Wing Engineer Pump Company, Batavia, Illinois. And now we're just remaking these things today, but today we're making them out of fiberglass and they create energy. Electricity versus being, pump drivers for wells. Can you imagine me behind these plows? These guys did this for, 8 hours a day. Mule out in front. Just amazing. Thank God we invented the motor. This is a beautiful museum. There's not much they don't have here. Cotton gins, everything. Amazing. And that, I don't know where he got that from, but that's beautiful. All right, gonna move on to the livery stable. Could you imagine crossing the plains and crossing the entire country in this covered wagon? You always think they're huge, but look at this thing. It's not. It's what, barely 3 feet wide. What a different life this would have been if we were riding in these today. Like an old doctor's wagon. And the sleighs. Little buckboard out here in the middle. Ah, there we go. It's one we used to ride when we were kids. More just beautiful wagons. Another hearse, doctor's wagon. It's amazing the collection he's put together. Old Wells Fargo stagecoach. Not nothing says if these are original or not. I think most of these are. If you look at it, that's definitely made of white ash. Again, imagine crossing country in this. Well, you got 4 to 6 people in here, and you're running across the country. The horse is going, and wham! Like Mark Twain said, his stagecoach ride across this part of the country. They'd go from sitting in the seat to being on the floor to standing on their head, just pushed around constantly. So it's not like it was a smooth ride. Nothing like today's Uber. Carousel animals from 1895. And if they go on the carousel, they're going to rebuild. Again, imagine riding that across the prairies. Old prairie schooner. Sure, there's something else we could have found in Maine. Old logging sled. Old Studebaker pickup. Whew. Old RV, huh? That was a truly drivable RV. Pretty cool. What size is this piece of equipment? How many horses it took to draw this thing. That's just amazing. Look at the size of it, though. Look at that. It's as big as today's combiners. So it was one way to get across to either the snow or the harvest is ground. Put big steel tires in the back. Same as they did for the tractors. It's amazing. God, I got some friends who just love to see all these old tractors. Love to have them in their collections. Oh, the deer's on the right. The beautiful old deers. The Farmalls, Internationals on the left. Red versus green. Which one do you buy? This is all Fords over here. That's what I had when I was a kid. Old push mower like that. Old man wouldn't let me run the electric one, so I was like 9. I shouldn't say electric. Take that back. The old man wouldn't let me run the gas one until I was like 9. But I could run this thing here all day. It's pretty much what we had, except ours was green. Take a look at this line of trucks. Internationals. Beautiful. Look at the years. 1907, 1908. Randolph Power Wagon. International. It's an old Mack. 1913 Mack. Look at this thing. Even back then, these things were made rugged. An old Nash. Fords, Chevys, Internationals. You name it, it is here. This is a beautiful, beautiful museum. Old Dodge. This is the predecessor, the beast I'm driving today. If only she was orange. That lineup. Ain't she beautiful? So you got snow blowers, old Jacobsons. There's a really little one. It's a prototype. Cedars, tillers. The yellow handle one, my grandmother had a pair of those. It was red. You had the trigger at the top. You go along and cut do all your trimming with them. I did that many times for her. Old grass catcher. The old mowers. That's what my grandparents had when I was a kid. And when there, you crank around the top. I think one of my neighbors had one of those when I was a kid. Got to use it a few times, just turn it. Versus doing the pull. Let's go out this thing. Old little plow. The mower attachment for it. Old riders. Some electric mowers. Old Huffies. See, electric's not new. They've been around a long, long time. Old two-wheel sickle. Only getting your toes in front of that thing. This monstrous rider. Look at that thing. Oh, this one's really cool here, this old rider. It's like an old car. That's pretty cool. It's about the Nash. So I didn't catch that the first time through. I saw that it was a Nash. But I didn't catch the color of that beautiful orange. Nice. Alright, no musty smell in this one. It's just a smell of oil. Chevrolets. All cars in a row, Chevrolets in their order of development. Style of these cars. Don't have anything that looks like these today. Today's cars don't have any style. Oh, and the Vega. Love the color. Never owned one. Drove a Vega station wagon for a print shop when I lived in California as a kid. What a piece of junk that was. Start right off with the Willys. Don't see many of those anymore. Oh, another Willys. Boy, he's got some very unique cars in here. Fraziers. Is that oh, that's a Kaiser sedan. Another Kaiser. These things are all unique. Terraplanes. Terraplane, old Hudson. It's not the one with the movable headlights though. 29 Roosevelt, built by Mormon. First 8-cylinder car in America to sell for less than $1,000. It's known as the bootlegger special during Prohibition because of its speed and interior body construction. This is when you see in all the movies when you're watching the bootleggers run. Just amazing. Skylark, my grandfather's choice of cars. I want to say he had this model Skylark when I was a kid. And then he moved on to the newer body style. That cutlass body style. Add on air conditioner, scope it out. Pretty cool, suck all the wind in. Blow in the car as you're driving down the road. Oh, the 1970 Chevy pickup. This is the 57 Bel Air. Car of all cars to end with, huh? The X brand was. Schwinn. Huh. Who knew Schwinn made a motorcycle? I didn't. I'm sure a lot of people did, but I did not. 1923 Schwinn motorcycle. Cool. All right, this building's probably Ford maniacs. They're all Fords. On this side, in order from year. On this side, you got an Edsel, got a Lincoln, got Mercury's, and the Mustang. What's the year we're guessing? Come on, what year are we guessing? 65, 66? 65. She's it'll work, but probably still start up and go. Oh, Coleman camp stove. That's what we had when we were kids. This up here is snowmobile territory. And snow car territory. The first snowmobile right there. Oh. Honda three-wheeler, most dangerous vehicle ever made. I ran through a bunch of friends of mine on a beach one day with one of those. Belonged to a girlfriend. Girl I was going with, her dad's. He extended the frame, and she forgot to tell me extend the frame, but not the throttle cable. So when I turned the tire, throttle went wide open. I plowed through all my friends on the beach, all sitting there in their chairs. Ended up in the lake with it. And there we go. Had that when I was a kid. My banana seat and my shifter. Old Schwinn. Mine was green. Yeah, I guess you'd have to get going down a hill to ride that one. Beautiful, beautiful bikes. Beautiful high wheelers. Man with the Edsels.